Everyone. The November Language Technology Podcast. I'm here in Kandern, Germany, with who's sitting next to me, and will stick his head over and make an appearance shortly. And also, Steve White is going to be providing some technical assistance. Hi, Steve, from North Carolina. So for the opening part of our news today, the Rosetta satellite, you've all heard about it, making its landing on the Comet 67P. What you haven't heard, because it probably wasn't reported in your news, is that this is actually carrying a disk etched with 13,000 pages of information on over 1,500 human languages, including language data from SIL's archives, a record of linguistic diversity in the 21st century. So make sure you share that with everyone who's excited about this Comet, and we hope it hangs on. I hear it's losing its grip. So you can share that news with everybody that we have some of our data that we've collected up there on that comet, zinging through space. So language software development news next. Basically, the software development department is getting behind the Scripture and Dictionary App Builder applications that Richard Margetts has developed, and they're going to be supporting him as he rolls both products out this year. What they are, the Scripture App Builder will take Scripture text and it will compile a separate app that it will run on an Android. You could download the app from the Android market, or you could share it over Bluetooth, and you can even attach audio files to it so that you have the text being highlighted along with the audio as it's being read. So that should be out, that is out right now in beta, and there's a link in the accompanying document. And it will probably, it's a bit further ahead of the dictionary app. The dictionary app was making some good progress, but Richard set it aside as he started working more older. But Richard is hoping to release a beta version of the dictionary app builder before that you have in either Fieldworks or Toolbox, and it will format it into one of the best looking dictionary apps I've seen yet on Android. So next up, we're initiating the joint recording script generation project with Faith Comes by Hearing. And providing this as input to vernacular media by hearing recording strategies. So the idea is to integrate their recording ability with Paratext so that it will be a lot easier to do recording of Scripture with Paratext, and so that our standards and formats between our VMS department and FCBH's departments are more in line. Flex and Paratext text and words sharing is now implemented in Flex 8.1 and Paratext 7.6. Now, what this means, Paratext has been doing interlinearization of scripture text using its built-in interlinearizer, but it kind of falls short of the mark on a number of levels. And people have all of their data, much of their data stored in Fieldworks, linguistic data, and so this allows a bridge between Paratext and Fieldworks data, so that if you have a Fieldworks project set up, you can choose to that is built into Paratext. So in other words, your Paratext interlinearization will be supplied by the parser works. And there's a number of other benefits of this integration, but you can click on the link in the Google Doc to see the details of how that's being implemented. And there's a lot more steps that have to be done, but Paratext 7.6, however, is not a released product yet, so you can't really try this at home yet, because Paratext 7.6 should be released in beta format probably before the end of the year. And so at that point, anyone who is interested can start checking out the ability to do interlinearization with the Paratext data. Language Technology Department is going to be rolling out new product websites using a different strategy that will be consistent. We have many different products, Fieldworks, WeSay, the LanguageForge website, Adapted, encoding converters, and lots of other websites, all to support products. Now, some of us who are product developers don't really enjoy investing a lot of time in making a good looking website that can be used for any of the apps that we have while maintaining a consistent look and theme. So we're hoping that the first ones will be coming out in December, and that should be of a big help and benefit to getting a better look and feel, as well as more consistent features between all of the websites. News item is that the dictionary web beta should be out in December. Now, LanguageForge web app is kind of like the program WeSay. WeSay allows you to do simple editing tasks on a dictionary and to collaborate with people. But what the LanguageForge website does is it provides a web interface so that you can have people collaborating on the same internet without being on their computers. Now, one of the things this buys us immediately is the ability to run WeSay and do dictionary development on all platforms. So it's not just dependent on Windows or now Linux for WeSay, but you can run it on a Mac. So now Fieldworks, WeSay, and the LanguageForge web app all connect with the online repository called Language Depot. It's hard to keep these straight sometimes, so Language working on a dictionary. Language Depot is where dictionary data is stored. This repository also houses data for adapted translation memory projects, for our word translation, and the OneStory storying editor. So this is the place where the shared data is stored for users who are collaborating through each application, such as multiple users working on FieldWorks and shown in the background in Language Depot. What is newsworthy about this is that there are currently over 1,044 lexicons with well over 1,805 users of Language Depot, and about 2 lexicons are being added per week. And in our document, there's a link to the live stats where you can go and you can actually see all of the projects that are listed on the Language Depot website. So next, there's a Translator's Workplace. You've heard of Translator's Workplace. It's been around for many years, supplying resources for translators who are working on the scriptures. And it's recently been, well, I guess a year ago, 2 versions were released side by side. One was a Folio Views version, 5.1, and the other one is the Translator's Workplace Logos edition. So the Logos edition strategy that we're in, Folio Views version is kind of on an old platform that's getting a bit creaky and doesn't have a certain future. So if you remember with the Translator's Workplace, you always had to wait for a CD to come in the mail or a disc. But now with the Logos platform, the updates are given dynamically over the internet. So this enables a really neat feature, is that once you've purchased the license to the Logos edition for all of those resources, as updates are added and new products are added to the Logos edition, you can download them directly in the program and they will be added to your collection. The team has been making steady progress on adding some of the resources that have been omitted in the first edition in order to get a product out in time. And so there are 2 waves of new updates that have been put through. So if you are a web-connected user of Logos, you would suddenly log in one day and find it's downloading a whole bunch of updates. And now they're getting ready to do a 3rd wave of updates for the Logos platform. There is a request, though, from Papua New Guinea in particular, but also I'm sure this would be beneficial to many areas, to provide a way to download once and then redistribute to others locally in order to save bandwidth and money. So we hope that this will be a priority in the software development department to figure out a way to come up with the updates by CD or DVD or even thumb drive, so that each computer doesn't have to initially get all of the updates over an internet connection. So Steve, I'm wondering if you've been supporting any users of Logos, and if you have any feedback from people as to their experience.
Well, I've had a few questions about it, and I'm somewhat of a user myself, and I found there's a little bit of a learning curve, but that I appreciated the notes that somebody put on the Tiki about getting started with Translator's Workplace and Logos. That answered some of my questions of the where did they put the X in this version kind of thing. Well, in some cases, it turns out that that the logos, the folio menu I was looking for really wasn't needed. Logos had a equally good or better way of doing it. And there is a certain degree of capability of downloading once and then updating another computer. If you go browse around the logo support for, I think if there is a way you can copy InfoBases from one computer to another. But yeah, if there was an automated process where storage volumes would get sent out, that is probably still a need.
Okay, I haven't heard of that, being able to copy it from one computer to another. So if there is a way, it would be great to document that on the Lingtransoft wiki site. There's already a lot of good materials on the wiki that explain how to do things with the Logos edition. So go ahead and go there and get information about Logos. So is really impressive. It's called COG. So it's the COG survey tool, and it's now officially released and ready for wide usage. So as I understand it, and I'm not an expert on language survey by any means, but you try to identify the borders of a language group in order to figure out what the literacy needs might be. And so you go around and you collect word lists. And as you collect these lists, you try to get them a phonetic representation so that you can account for different pronunciations between dialects. And so you make lists in a whole bunch of different areas. Well, what COG will do is it will actually plot the locations of all of those lists and where you got them on a map. And then it will do a whole bunch of analysis that would normally take weeks or even months, and it just does them on the fly and allows you to dynamically stand results, kind of do what is two dialects together as one language and then reanalyze them as if they were one group. And so there's a neat little video you can watch that shows kind of an overview of the COG tool and what it does. But this tool is being widely used now in the Asia and Eurasia areas to do language survey, and it yet needs to take off in Africa area. I'm not sure of who's using it there, but it's a really excellent tool. A little bit about the SAL software prioritization process. So right now we are going into the next round of software development, and it should be finished in December. So what this is doing is it's deciding what the developers will be working on for the next 6 months. And I don't know what the official number of developers is. I think there's at least 21 or 2, if not more. But for those developers, we want to make sure, and they want to make sure, that their time is used producing things that are in need out there on the field and not something that will not get used. And the best way to assure this is this prioritization process where people, representatives from the field, are involved in ranking the proposals that come in for software development. And there's actually 2 passes. The first pass is called a value appraisal panel, and they meet and they evaluate the proposals in terms of their strategic value. Strategic value in terms of how well they accomplish what our goals are as an organization, and as they assign values to a number of different things, then it gets passed on to the second panel, which is the actual prioritization panel. And they then make the hard choices of decide actually get worked on in the next 6 months. So there's a few links in the Google Doc that show the current proposals. And just I picked out a few just to mention since we don't have time to go through them all. There's Language Forge crowdsourcing a dictionary. So it's kind of the Language Forge idea where you work on a dictionary online, but yet opening it up to people who don't have a login and password, that they can actually contribute also some way, and or simplifying the process so that it's not managed and locked down so hard. So in order to get input from a lot of people, it seems passwords really can be a blocker. So there is a fine line, of course, between opening it up and then getting spammed to death. So it will be something for them to consider in this next project round. So then there's another one is Language Forge mobile offline dictionary editing. So the idea is to use the existing website, but as a mobile app that can communicate offline. So you could continue to work on the dictionary offline, maybe on a tablet or laptop computer, and then synchronize back again when you're back online. Hear This, which we're going to be hearing about in a few minutes, is a program to record scripture from Paratext. And right now it can see your Paratext project on your machine and then import the data from it. But I guess this project is to do a standalone version of Hear This that can have its own data repository from Paratext and can do send and receive. Then there's also a graphite enabled EPUB reader, and this is an interesting one that there seems to be a ton of EPUB readers out there for cell phones. I don't know, Mark, if you have any EPUB reader that you use or recommend for other languages these days. Not really. But there are quite a few out there, but of course none of them are going to support Graphite, which is the complex script rendering engine that we need for a number of our languages that we work in. And so the proposal, of course, is to build our own EPUB reader, or else work together with one of the open source EPUB readers in order to put Graphite into it. Then the last one that I'm going to mention here is the keyboard layout system. So for keyboarding solutions, there's one solution if you're working on Mac, another solution if you're working on Android, another solution if you're working on Windows, and yet another solution if you're working on Linux. And of those solutions, there's still quite a variety, especially on Windows, of options, and it's very confusing. So the proposal is actually, believe it or not, to come up with one keyboard layout system that would work on all platforms. So it sounds too good to be true. So we'll let them lay out the details, and we'll see if it gets prioritized high, if it's a believable project. But it sounds very interesting. So lastly, I want to call your attention to the proposal workshop page. If you have sil.org the Google domain, you can actually submit your own proposal for software development project. Now, before everybody runs and puts down the first thing that comes to your mind, I have to warn you that this is a rather arduous and difficult project. So you can the form has about 8 pages, and you have lots of questions to answer. You have to explain why what you're proposing is necessary and why some other project that are why some other program that already exists can't do what you're asking this program to do. So when you answer all of those questions and get your proposal together, then you need one more thing. Project proposal that is going through the system has to have somebody that is named as a champion in order to be an interface person between the developers and between the field teams that are going to take up and use the product. So a champion is going to be somebody who has a certain amount of time to commit to fielding questions from the developers, to finding answers for the developers from the field in terms of how it's going to be used and what it should look like. So go ahead. It's too late for the current round, but we can start looking at programs, applications for the next round of proposals, which will be probably sometime in May. It was either March or May, I forget. Next, Paratex prioritization process. Well, let me pause a sec and ask Steve if there's any questions that have come in from the chat room that we should deal with.
Not really, or just that Matthew Lee has already updated the Tiki with information about the workarounds for updating resources from computer to computer and TW Logos.
Okay. Well, that's good news. So there is a solution, and it is documented for those who have low bandwidth to be able to get Logos materials moved between computers. Obviously, for those who have the license for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to mention the Paratex prioritization meetings that happened last month in Brussels. The team was from United Bible Societies and SIL. We had a couple of the members had issues where they Steve, am I still moving? I seem to have frozen on Mark's computer here.
You're still fine on mine.
Okay. We'll put it off to Mark's computer. So we had a few people who couldn't make it. They arrived and had to turn around and go right back home because of family issues or crises. So we were a smaller group than we anticipated. But the results were pretty good. We dealt first with the main issues such as checking requests to improve checking of scriptures, and then administrative tasks such as send and receive, and then editing requests. So those are the three main groups that the requests were put under. And as Paratext evolves, I find each year that there seems to be less and less big items in those areas that require our attention. So after dealing and prioritizing with those items, we went on to talk about some UI improvements. And then one of our big ideas was about doing audio input for Paratext. Not just audio input, but building audio into Paratext. So the developers are going to look at that, such as putting audio resources where you could have scripture in audio and listen to it while you're listening to one language or translation while you're looking at another one and comparing them. Also audio notes, so that you could send a draft to a team and they could insert their notes by audio or their comments by audio, and they could be sent and received back to the main translation text. So there's a lot of ideas that were bounced around, and the developers will be looking into that after the main improvements are done that were requested. And then lastly, there's a request for performance improvements to fix some speed issues that are present in Paratext. And so, especially for some older computers, it can get laggy in certain situations. We have some open positions that have recently been made available. The first is for a Paratext Learning Officer. United Bible Societies and SIL are looking of a learning officer in order to consolidate all of the learning materials and help create new materials so that Paratext users can be trained around the world. I know that when I log into the Paratext licensing system, I see that there are now over 9,000 licenses out there for Paratext, which is quite a huge user base. And this large user base really deserves to have their own training manager to assure that materials are being produced and training is being offered to help people get up to speed and to be using all of the functions that are available to them in Paratext. Another position that my department is recruiting for, there are 3 in fact. One is a language technology publicity writer. So the fact that a lot of information is not getting out there. You may have 2 people developing similar apps on the field to solve problems that they're experiencing, and the ability to have a steady news channel, and this podcast is one of those channels, is going to be a big boost to our development and also getting people to use the products out in the field. So we're looking for a publicity writer who would probably also be involved in this monthly podcast to help get the message out of what's going on and what product. Another position is a language technology webmaster, and that's to help support all of the various websites that are related. So the wiki site where the training materials are stored, and the language software site where you go to look to find which programs are available for which task you want to accomplish. And I'm doing this myself, but just part-time, and things are getting way behind, so I really would like to have someone to help as webmaster to manage these sites. And then the last position is a video producer. For the same reasons, we realize that the best way to train people is to get a video in their hands that just walks them through the steps. It might not be the best way actually, but it's the most affordable way to reach people. And so I'm not skilled in video. Recently we got Susanna Imrie, who's starting to make videos, and then Steve has been making some videos, screencasts basically. So we want somebody to also help with explainer videos that can explain what a product is for and what it does, and for that we're seeking a new job position. So with no further ado, I'm going to rearrange things slightly. Next, I'd like to do the Hear This demo, and Mark is sitting next to me. He had a glitch with his sound, so I'm going to hand my headset over to him and hope we can lock the screen on his presentation.
Is this working? Just to test it. Can you hear me?
No, I'm going to... Oh.
Can you actually hear me through this?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, you're hearing him through my mic. His mic isn't working because I don't hear anything in my headset. So I'm going to hand my headset to him and he can take over.
Okay. So let's see if we can manage to do this. And if I manage to do a screen share, okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet. Oh, there. No. In the little window, there's your screen.
That's interesting.
We may be stuck because the sound is coming through Doug's headset, so the chat is putting Doug's face in full view.
Okay, there's no way to lock this onto...
Doug, if you turn your camera off, what does that do?
If you turn your camera off?
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So let's try this again. Still just showing. Okay.
All right.
No. Do you have Hear This installed?
No. So we're just going to cancel it, do it next time.
Okay. Either that or very quickly install Hear This. But do you want to give a just overview of Hear This? And
oh yeah, sure. Yeah, why don't you sit here and tell them about Hear This? Just move in and tell them about Hear This.
Okay. So Hear This is a product that allows you to do recording of audio of scripture text straight from Paratext, rather than using a tool like Faith Comes by Hearing, which you need to work over the internet. This is actually something where you're downloading it and recording your audio locally, and it's working straight from Paratext. You're actually connecting to an existing Paratext project, reading your text verse by verse, and then you can export that to a number of different formats, publish that, and make use of it. Hopefully next time we can show you a demonstration. I apologize for not having this working, but this is the way it works with demos. Everything works right up to the point that you actually try to do it as part of a demonstration. You can find the Hear This site. It's a Palasso project, just like we say, and a number of other projects. You can find that out there if you want to get the information right now, or you can wait for our next presentation to show you how it works. But it is a fairly simple tool, and they do have a good video online that demonstrates the use of it. So while you're welcome to wait for us to demonstrate it for you, if you are interested in doing audio presentation, you're welcome to go out to the website and find out more information there.
All right, so next I was going to give a short demo of Bloom Library. So if you're not familiar with Bloom, Bloom is a program that is designed to produce literature in vernacular languages, and it's designed to streamline the process. It is very simple to learn, and native language speakers can quickly learn how to use Bloom. sometimes even half an hour or less. They can be up to speed on creating a book, and then they can just put down their language and add pictures and all that. Well, one of the neat things that has been happening with Bloom recently is Bloom Library. So I'm going to share my screen here. So this is the bloomlibrary.org website. And if you go to this website, it has a place to download books. So if I click on the button that says Visit Book Library, it takes me to the book library, and I happen to have Bloom installed on this computer. And now if I click on books in the Fafole language here, it lists a book called Lazy Junior Brother. Now these books are all uploaded here from various locations. Various people have contributed them, and anybody who uses Bloom now can create a resource that can be uploaded to this library. Now in the past we've called these sorts of books shell books, but their shell books is kind of a loaded term, so we're just calling it a book library. You can take books out of the library, and in Bloom you can translate them into a different language depending on the copyright, and so Bloom manages copyrights. So I'm just going to click on Lazy Junior Brother, and I can preview it. Just click preview, and it opens in my browser window, and I can look at the book, and I can decide if it's the kind of resource I want to use. And sure, yes. So I'll close the preview, and then I can say Open in Bloom. Now I think the first time you click Open in Bloom, you're going to get some kind of a request because your browser now has to activate the Bloom software on your computer. And there's some security issues in that, so the first time it's going to prompt you and say, do you really want to do this? So now I'm downloading this, and I probably picked a big book, and so the download is going to take a long time here. But I've also noticed that for some reason today the Bloom Library website is operating very slowly. So I'm hoping that that's a good sign that they're overwhelmed with traffic these days, as many people are downloading books and uploading new books. So while we're waiting for that to download, let me switch over to Bloom. So change my screen sharing. Yeah.
Oh.
Haha. Okay, my download is complete. So now if I click OK, let me open Bloom.
You're not sharing your screen anymore.
Right, because Bloom closed, so I needed to open Bloom again. And now that Bloom is open, I'll share it. There we go. Okay, let's see if it put the books from Bloom. Oh, there we go. This window on the side, I'm in a project for Fulfulde Messina books, and down here it has sources for new books. So there are some templates that are included with Bloom, but now there's also, below that, books from bloomlibrary.org. Now these ones here have been downloaded to my computer, and this one we downloaded just now, called Lazy Junior Brother. So if I click on that book, it comes up in the window here, and now I can make a book using this source. So there we are, and I'm in the book, and I can just start typing. So right here in this field, I would need to put the title in Fulfulde. So that would be the special character, since my keyboard isn't activated, but Minerado. Hey, Steve can help me out. Steve knows Fulfulde. What's the word for lazy in Fulfulde?
Yegiti.
Oh, he forgets. So, and then you can go on and go to the next page. Okay, here's the first page with a picture on it. And then it's got the text in the English. In the morning, I get up and chop wood. And then if I want to see that same text in the different dialect of Fulfulde that they have here, I can see that. And then you can just go ahead and translate, type the text here. And you produce your book, and then when you're done, you can just go to publish, and it will, you have options to print it out. The other thing about the Bloom Library is when you're done creating a resource, and let me go back to collections here, you do have an option to take a book and upload it back to the Bloom Library. So I'm having trouble finding things on the small screen, but anyway, there's instructions on how to do that. So you can not only use books that are in the library, but you can also create books from scratch and then upload them to the library for use on the Bloom Library site. So Susanna, I'm wondering if you can tell us for a few minutes about what was it you were going to do? Flex, send and receive.
Okay. Did you want to have them see the movies that I'd made so far?
I don't have a way to show the movie online. If you can pull it off, you're welcome to.
All right. Well, one option is that they watch it themselves, and then we can come back together and just see what I mean. I've got one that isn't succeeding to be available for some weird reason, but we can just skip that one and they can see the other ones. Is that a helpful idea?
Unless you mark them open to the public, the last time I checked, your movies were locked down, marked as private.
Yeah, I just re-uploaded them all, so hopefully.
Okay.
just one of them isn't working for some reason. So I think they'll work. So if I give out the link in the chat, there seem to be 3 there instead of 4, but that's at least a good start. And then they should come up in order, so you can play them in order. So if everyone does that, and then I'll watch them as well, so I know when everyone's done.
Can I just ask a quick question on the Bloom before we move on?
Yes, please.
Does it support Arabic script? That's the issue. And also right-to-left page layout.
I believe it does. That was part of the requirements to be able to support multiple scripts, and it uses Graphite, and I'm quite certain that it does support Arabic.
I tried it. It may even have been a year ago, but it didn't. It always had the first page to the left, which is an issue with right-to-left script.
Okay, well, maybe somebody in the chat room who's listening could add that, but a year ago you were working with version 1, now version 2 is released and version 3 is in alpha, so they've done quite a lot of development on it, and we'll have to see.
Great, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Okay, for Flex Send and Receive, could you maybe open your computer? See, I think a lot of people are going to be listening to this podcast or watching it after the broadcast. So if you want to just say pause, and okay, now that people can pause their video when they're watching this, watch your videos, and then you can comment on them. So I think that's what we could do, Susanna, because this is recorded. You can just comment as if everyone has just watched the videos, and that will give them a chance either to go back with the recording and let's hear your commentary later.
Okay, so just go over the, sorry, say that bit again. We'll not have anyone watch them now, or
we're going to freeze time and pretend that everyone has watched them.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so if people want to watch them now, then pause the recording, and I will keep going when you've unpaused. Okay, so I've made 4 videos so far for Send and Receive in Flex, and hopefully these will help make it easier for you to get started setting up a project for someone. So I've done an overview movie, and then there's one showing how you can send a project. It goes through how to set up the account on the Language Depot website, and then use those details within Flex to send the project for the first time. We've got a movie on how to use the other kind of first one-off step on another computer to get the project from the internet server, and then we've also got how to add another sort of user login on the Language Depot website. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just talk for a minute about Send and Receive and what it is and why people would want to use it. So you've done some of that in your introductory video, but I think that this is just amazing that we're here at this point in time where people can actually collaborate together on a dictionary project and synchronize all of the data, not just the dictionary words and the lexicon, but also the texts that have been collected, the interlinear text, everything gets synchronized between multiple users. Now, in practice, this may require synchronizing frequently, especially if you have two users who are working heavily on a dictionary at the same time, the more often they synchronize their data, the fewer conflicts there will be. But so Susanna, when was the stable release of Paratext version 8?
Fieldworks. I think it was
Sorry.
in about May. I'm not entirely sure. I think the first stable was in approximately May, and they've done one or two patches since then, or updates since then, so it should be even more stable now.
Okay, so we have the stable release, and so really this is a linguist's dream come true, to be able to merge and synchronize all of this data at once. And we really need to start seeing some more take-up. I don't know if you have any statistics on how many people are using Send and Receive in Fieldworks at this stage.
I think if we look on the Language Depot website, we can see all the public ones on there. If people haven't requested that they make their project private, we can see the list of them. I haven't done that recently, but I know that it's there's a lot of users on Language Depot, so I think it is being used. It may still not be in the majority of projects, which is a shame. It's also useful for people working on their own because it gives you an off-site backup and a way to get the project between different computers that you yourself work on, where in the past it was a kind of slow process with backup and restore on another computer. So once people get into the habit of using this, it's going to save them a lot of time, not only when they work with other people, but also when they work on their own in different locations and different computers.
Okay, so for everyone else, what Susanna's done with these videos is produced a tutorial that will quickly enable you to get set up with Send and Receive. So just speaking from experience, to be able to start Send and Receive is something that you really, it's not something that you just go poking around and figure out on your own, because there's processes that need to take place outside of Fieldworks. You need to go to a website and you need to set up the account, and she's got all of those steps detailed in these short that she produced. And so if you follow those steps in her videos, you can quickly get set up and be starting to use Send and Receive in Fieldworks.
I've just had a quick look on the Language Depot website, and there are 227 Flex projects listed there publicly, some of which will be test ones, but I imagine 10 or something, maybe test ones. So over 200 projects are already using it, so that's good to see.
Okay. I think we are coming towards the end of our broadcast, and since it's at the top of the hour, I wasn't sure if we would fit it all into 1 hour or not, but I'm kind of glad we did. Steve, is there any more comments in the chat room?
Just somebody said that the Fieldworks Send Receive is brilliant. I use it a lot with my linguistics consulting.
Okay.
Maybe we could let say that himself. I don't know.
I'm sorry, repeat.
Maybe we could let Richard say that himself. Richard could give.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in here. Okay.
Yeah, I've been in and out. I've been on YouTube and got in and out in various ways, so I haven't always been down in the corner there. But yeah, basically almost all of our teams are set up to use Send and Receive. We're a group that are working in a variety of countries and with people in different locations, so we don't actually see each other very often at all. And I do Skype consulting sessions with people, screen sharing and using Send and Receive to send in comments in between times, and it's just a really good way of working. we've actually taken things slightly further now. We've got one team that are using Paratext and have that linked into Flex. And I'm on the same Flex project as him, but not the same Paratext project. So I'm able to look at his Paratext data through the Flex send and receive, and we're sort of looking through the text from a linguistic point of view. So got kind of two link-ups working at once to make that happen.
Okay.
Thanks to all the development team.
There is one last thing that we wanted to mention briefly, and that is if you have used Paratext to create a consultant report. So basically you have all notes that you've put together on a translation, and you need to put the results of all the notes together in some kind of a report. Well, there used to be an option in the Paratext menu that said Project Notes Report, and in version 7.5 of Paratext this was removed. And I was shocked because I had some training materials I put together that used this feature as part of the process. And Steve White recently put some videos together. Steve, maybe you want to explain briefly how to do that in Paratext 7.5, and of course in the document there's a link to the videos that Steve made.
Yeah, basically, you get your list of notes in the Notes List window, which is what you see when you do File, Open Notes, and select your project, and you can set up the filtering. And when you've got your list there like you want it, you can in Paratext you can go to the Edit menu and choose Copy All Notes, and then you can paste that into a document.
Okay, so there's still a cut and paste option. It's actually nicer because instead of working with two separate windows, you can work in the same notes window that you spend most of your time in, and then just copy them from there to create the report with some added filtering capabilities that were added in 7.5. So I want to thank you all for attending. Thank you to Suzanne and Steve and Mark for helping out. And we're going to try to do this monthly. So tentatively 1 month from now plus 1 day on Friday, we will have it because I happen to be traveling on the Thursday. And if this is happening at a strange hour for you, no problem. You can just watch the video, which page of linktransoft.info. So thank you all for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.